Hello again. Welcome back to the Flyin Style podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Mitchell, back with my co host, Steven Maslij.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about last week. Um, in advance, I know Matt's already going to apologize, but take it away, Matt.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys. We're a little bit late on our review of last week's game. We had a bit of a busy week. Our schedules didn't quite line up. I got a little under the weather. Things just didn't work out for us. So today we're gonna have a little bit of a special episode where we're breaking down both the Bucks game and the Commanders game, and then Wednesday we will also be releasing another video breaking down and reviewing the upcoming game against the Rams. So starting off, we're going to get right down to it and get down to the Bucks game. Obviously, this is about a week and a half ago, so it's a little bit recalling to do here. But this was a an interesting game. It was not high scoring, but it felt pretty dominant from the Eagles' side, a 25-11 win. Maslij, what did you think?
I thought we ran the ball great in that game. I didn't expect us to. Just forced it on their throats. We got the AJ Hurts connection back. That's where it all started in that game. We got that back amazingly. We had a couple turnovers, but our defense played fantastic in that game. Got the Baker. They weren't able to do pretty much anything until the end of the game. I mean, they had 11 points. Baker threw for 146 yards. They had, I believe, 174 yards of total offense. So we defensively in that game was fantastic. If you look at just like the stats alone, you would think we won by more than 2 touchdowns, but couple I can't recall everything that happened because it was 2 weeks ago, but a couple misclicks and us not finishing some drives, but overall we dominated that game. I didn't see any problem with it at all. We had 470 yards of total offense, and other than Hurts throwing 2 picks, it was a great game.
Yeah, I agree. This was definitely a better showing in the third week for the Eagles. Obviously, the run game got off and kicking again, which was a great sign for the Eagles offense. From what I've been seeing from the Eagles offense so far this year, it's looking, a little slower than last year. I feel like we're picking up the pace little by little, brick by brick, but it looks similar in the fashion that the Eagles are once again proving, I know we haven't played great teams yet, but they're once again proving that they can beat you either with the run or with the pass. It doesn't really matter. They are able to do both, and they will do whatever the game dictates in that regard. If they're running the ball and getting success early with it, they'll keep running it down your throat. If they get the passing game going early, they get a few quick stops in the run game, not getting more than 10, 12 rushing yards in the first drive, then we start to see a bit of a pass heavy offense, and it still works out. So I was definitely happy to see that from the offense. I was a little bit disappointed in their ability to finish drives. Jalen Hurts was really struggling in the red zone that game. The team was just not, getting first downs when they needed to. And this includes the Commanders game and the Bucks game, both. And they're just they're not. I don't know what the right word is for it. They're not tidy with their game right now. They're definitely a little sloppy. They're letting things, itty bitty things happen that are complete drive stoppers. They got to clean up a little bit of that stuff. They're definitely a little bit. Gosh, I'm thinking of a specific word. Sorry, I keep saying I've been trying to think of this word for like a good 2 minutes now. But either way, I thought that the offense looked okay, but I thought the play calling once again was pretty crappy on both sides of the ball. I really just so far this season have not been impressed with our offensive defense coordinators. I feel like we're seeing other teams on offense play similar styles that we would like to see Jalen Hurts be playing in. And they're doing it much more effectively than we are. Not in the way that we're not getting yards, we're not getting points, because obviously we are getting yards, we're getting lots of points. We just had a 34-31 victory. It's just the quick passes, the ability to get the ball out quick, put their I'm having a really hard time explaining this right now.
It's an eye test. No, it's literally just like the eye test. You look at the stats, won't show it. The stats won't show it. You see it drag across the middle of the Goddard, and it's just miscommunications left and right, especially in the Tampa game.
How we were talking about the fact that some people were saying that Baker Mayfield looked better than Hurts in that game in the way that he was playing his offense, and people were saying that Hurts should be doing that the way that Baker is, and me and you have talked about this. That was obviously not the point of the argument. People were trying to say that if the Eagles are running that same kind of offense the way that Baker was, where they were just throwing those quick passes, those quick, snap, throw the ball right out, get 8 quick yards, just giving what the defense takes you. If Hurts is getting that ball out quicker, which it doesn't feel like happens very often, it just feels like, we'd be able to pick up chunks. I don't know why we don't do more quick routes. We talked about this last year as well with the AJ Brown slant route that's practically unguardable. Devontae Smith just doing a quick curl route. Those are kind of, I want to see a little bit more of that because I don't really think teams can stop our wide receivers in that regard.
And then even to that point, the thing that I've realized from this year to last year, and you can say I'm wrong, but I feel like Hurts isn't we don't have as many design plays for Hurts to run the ball. And I feel like maybe that's kind of a discredit to our line. But I just feel like he's not getting out of the pocket. He's not using his feet and I don't want him to at all times, but that threat of him running for 20 yards and getting those first downs like he did consistently last year, this hasn't been there this year. And I feel like that just taken a level off his game. I don't know if it's because of the play calling. I don't know if it's because they're trying to protect him a little bit more and keep him, because we are running the ball very well, but just his whole game is his threat on his legs is just, it elevates it from a great / good quarterback to MVP level. And that's what I think he's missing this year. I think his timing of some of the receivers are missing a little bit, and it doesn't look sharp. But his week 4, we're 4-0. At the end of the day, it's hard to, say much when you're 4-0. You're looking at the stats. You're on paper, if you didn't watch any of the game, you'd be like, why is anyone complaining in Philadelphia? But you turn on WIP, you would think that we're 1-3,
4,
and it's like this team doesn't look good. This team, it's we just expect more, and you can't put in the words. I'm trying to as well. At the same time, it's not the fact that we're actually playing bad. It's just the fact that we know we can play better, and we've seen it play better. And I don't know if that's credit. So I'll put it this way: would you rather be? Obviously, I personally think this is the question, but I heard it phrased like this on WIP, and people are taking the other side. You know how Dallas is dominating teams? They're coming out, they look really, really good. Would you rather be 3-1, lose to the Cardinals, and show the dominance in 3 wins, or would you rather be 4-0 and be picking it up like us?
I'd rather be 4-0 and picking it up. Obviously, no matter what, wins are the most important thing. And something that Eagles fans that have watched the Eagles for years, and especially last year, should know that the Eagles have never been the team to walk out and dominate people. Even when they did last year, I know they did a couple times, and I'm not saying they can't do it, but the Eagles have always been the kind of team to let the other teams hang in the game and just kind of pull away in the end and make it work. And they do that all the time. And the Eagles are the kind of team that will do whatever it takes to get the win. They don't care how it looks, how it happens, how it comes to pass. They just want to get the win. And, sometimes they get a little lackadaisical in the way they defend the other team. Maybe they start playing a little bit of prevent rather than an aggressive play style. And then all of a sudden, the score gets close. They don't care. They just want to win the game. And they know how to do that, and they've been doing it very well. And like we said, on paper, regardless of what criticism you have to say about it, they are still producing in heavy ways and dominating ways. In the run game, in the pass game, on the defensive side of the ball. They have shown domination on all 3 sides of the ball so far. although they haven't put it all together in one click, we have seen all three parts of our team dominate the game at some point this season in 4 games. Yeah. So to me, as much as I could sit here and bitch about it a little bit and get, nitpicky about the way they did things, and, we will, just because we're a podcast and we're trying to analyze them a little bit, but there's nothing to be unhappy about. And, the way that we, pulled out a 25-11 win or a 34-31 win in the past 2 weeks, I see us doing the same thing to the Chiefs or the Bills or the 49ers. We'll play them in the exact same manner, and I still see us winning games. I'm not worried about it yet. I don't care how close the games are, as long as a win is a win.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see us blow them out. I would like to see.
Oh, no kidding. Who the hell wouldn't want to see them blow people out? I mean, it's awesome and all.
It is kind of weird, like double entendre, how like we run the ball for like over 200 yards on Tampa, and then we come out and then we only run it for 104, but Jalen passes for over 300 yards on Washington, and everyone's like, why can't we have a better run off? It's really weird how people are like complaining about one thing and then getting one thing and then the other thing drops. It's like, can you just look at the as a whole? We have 415 yards of offense, even in the Commanders game. And yeah. That game, I honestly thought Ron Rivera should have went for 2 after he got that touchdown to Jahan Dotson at the last point. You're away and you're a worse team. You don't want to go to overtime. I thought he should have gone for 2.
I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't worried about it.
I would have been more worried if they went for 2.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Than if they got the ball first in overtime, which they did.
Yeah.
I thought that was a stupid play call by him. You're in a toxic environment. You're telling me that you want to go to overtime with this team, a team that is better than you in their home stadium. Like that's just, I thought that could have easily been a loss. I mean, obviously we shouldn't have let it come down to a buzzer beater touchdown from Jahan Dotson, but so I guess we're past the Tampa game. I don't mean to just roll over it, but let's go into the Washington game now.
Yeah.
So Sam Howell played really well. Like we were talking about before the podcast, he had 291 yards, no picks. There's no turnover in this game at all. And he only had 1 touchdown. His stats aren't like mind-boggling, but it was like, wow, like he was making good throws.
Watching him play, he was controlling the game very, very well.
Yeah, especially that first drive. Terry was lighting us up. I know people have some complaints about the refereeing. I can't complain about it because we were getting burnt at times, and they were just both sides were catching the same strays. That's the way I'm going to put it. There were times in the beginning of the game where I was sitting there complaining about the calls that they were calling on the Eagles and saying they were ticky-tack, but then they called the same calls on the Commanders later down the line. And to me, that's the best thing you can do as a ref, I mean, if you're calling the game as you see it, you're calling the game as you see it, as long as you're calling it even for both sides. And that's the way I've always been taught, the way I've always, felt was correct with refereeing. And yeah, I mean, I think they definitely missed a few calls here and there on both sides. And the Eagles got away with a few, and so did the Commanders. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the Eagles had 4 penalties that changed the direction of the drive, either on 3rd down or on 4th down. And all of them felt like they were ticky-tack, all 4 of those. But, it's part of the game. And, it's easier to sit here and not complain about it when you win the game. But if they're calling it the same for both sides, there's not a whole lot you can complain about. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at the penalty yards right now. Washington has 7 penalties for 41 yards it cost them, and we had 11 penalties against us for 81 yards. It did seem watching a game that more was going against us, but at the same time, I agree with you. I'm surprised you had the same take because a lot of people I was talking to even today were just saying like, I was so badly ref that hold on Slay. Yeah, I didn't like the call either, but like I didn't love it, but like it was called both sides the same way.
Yeah, they were calling it the same way on both sides the whole game. I mean, I didn't think a lot of those calls, like especially the the pass interference call on James Bradbury. I didn't understand how that was pass interference in the slightest. It was never a catchable ball. It was nowhere near the guy. They barely they brushed each other. He grabbed him for a half a second. If anything, it was holding. I would have taken a ticky. I would have called it a ticky tack holding call. I didn't understand why it was a pass interference. I thought that was BS. But outside of that, they were all definitely penalties, just penalties that they tend to let slide most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Jalen's stats straight up, he played great. There's nothing like complain about. I know AJ Brown snapped and popped off. 9 receptions, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was definitely amazing in this game. Smith played well as well with 7 receptions for 78 yards and a great catch, by the way. Beautiful catch. Best ball control I've seen in forever. I don't know. This Commanders team, like, for as much as we did to them on offense, I felt like they played well on defense. I thought Chase Young, when they got to us, it was like I was kind of worried, but I don't know. We only got sacked 3 times. We sacked them 5, and Nicholas Morrow is apparently our leading sacker on the team, which who would have thought that before the season started?
Yeah, right.
4, that we're not going to be getting sacks consistently. That's crazy, but
well, there's a few big things that can be pointed out about that stuff. I mean, first of all, just while I'm thinking about it first, our D-line is not getting to the quarterback. But we'll get to that in a second. I want to stick to the offensive side of the ball.
Okay.
Hurts is still definitely catching his groove. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And do not fret, because he is absolutely going to catch his groove, because in all 4 of these games so far, we've seen him definitely make some questionable decisions, a few throws that he missed or overthrowed. He's definitely a little off, not quite where he was for most of last season, but we're seeing flashes of it. I mean, that throw down the left sideline to A.J. Brown where he put it over the corner in between the safety. I mean, come on, that's one of the most beautiful throws I've ever seen. The deep throw to A.J. Brown at the end of the game, the deep throw to Devontae Smith that he made that great catch on. In the Buccaneers game, just jumping back to that, the throw that he made to Zacchaeus on the run,
which I thought was going to get stripped, by the way.
Mm-hmm. These are the flashes of the Hurts that we know, and Hurts is not lost that by any means, but he's definitely off to a bit of a slow start, and I don't think that's unreasonable. Regardless of his slow start, we are 4-0. I mean, I wouldn't care, I like to get on Dak Prescott about all of his picks and stuff, yada yada. And here's why I caught so much hate about it, right? Because I would do the same. I would say the same thing about Jalen Hurts. I couldn't care less if Jalen Hurts led the league in interceptions. I couldn't care less if he had 10 of them right now. If we're still 4, I'm serious. If until it is a problem that is like detrimenting the team in wins, I'm honestly not particularly worried about it. I'm not going to say I enjoy it. I'm not going to say he can go ahead and do that. But I'm not worried about it being detrimental to the team, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? My point to all of this is saying that Jalen Hurts' slow start is not affecting the team in a negative way. And we are still seeing flashes of him getting back to his original form and his top form.
I mean, he's not playing that bad. Like, if we're anybody else, if Jalen didn't.
Honestly, I don't even really want to hear that bad comments. I mean, his completion percentage is really high. I know he's missing people. He's not seeing all the open guys. He's still he's still playing as I'm not going to say top 5 quarterback, but he's absolutely playing as a top 10 quarterback right now. And you can't ask for that much more.
All right, so you told me this, you see it during the game, and I know this. You missed some throws and everything, but this stat line of 25 completions on 37 attempts, so he has a 68% completion percentage. He has 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and then and he's rushing for another 34 yards. If we don't see Hurts play at a god level, which we did last year, I don't think any of these criticisms are coming out. And it's no knock on Jalen because he expects to be at that level, but any other franchise would die for this type of quarterback. I know we see it we see it because we know football. And we saw it last year. We saw the product of him being like elite perfection. Like it was not missing any throws. Like he was playing amazing. He wouldn't do anything like wrong. But like just looking, just like if you opened a book and just showed this to me, I'd be like, oh, he's playing at elite level. I know he see it, and I know he can do better. But asking him to do better is just it's hurting me. It's not. It shouldn't be. We should be still praising for what we did and not what we can do.
Yeah, I agree. Something that's always going to be hard with Philadelphia and Philadelphia fans is that we always expect the best out of our players, the best that they can absolutely do. And Philadelphia has now seen Jalen Hurts play at an MVP level. So now when he is not at that, people think that he is going downhill. He's never going to be the same again. He's not as good as we thought he was, yada, yada. Like, no, dude. Like, I don't want to hear that stuff, Everybody likes to talk about how Joe Burrow was a top 3 quarterback in the league, What's he doing right now? Sometimes guys hit slumps. It doesn't mean they're just bad at football now. That is just not the case. Give it some time. It's only week 4. People keep forgetting as well. We are not deep into the season. We're not even close to halfway yet. So, give it a rest. Wait a little bit. I know that Jalen Hurts can probably, instead of being upset about how Jalen Hurts has played so far, why not look at how much room he has to keep doing better? We've seen him play at his worst, and we're still 4-0. What are we worried about? What is everybody so worried about? Like, we have nowhere to go but up or stay the same. Hopefully that's not the case. And to me, I think that we have nowhere to go but up.
I mean, and he has. He's only improved every single week. Week 1, I guess doing that. I know these are all different defenses, and I know this is going to be redundant and stupid, but 22 for 33, 170 yards, 193 the next week. He has 1 pick in that game, 1 touchdown. Then he throws for 277, 1 pick, 2 picks and a touchdown. Then he throws for 319 and 2 touchdowns. Like I understand he's obviously that's not all that goes into this because we were running the ball a lot in a New England game, in a Minnesota game. We were just straight running the ball. So obviously these stats aren't all just on Jalen. I'm just saying that if you just want to go like progression of how he's getting better as a passer and how he's getting back to that level, he is. Like, he's only improved each and every game, and you can't tell me he hasn't. Like, I know it's different defenses. We haven't played anyone at even a playoff team level, honestly, yet. Maybe Washington can be, but at the moment, like, no one at a playoff team level that should be there, could be. But yeah, we're 4-0, and I just can't stand for the slander that everyone's giving. I don't know if it's even slander. I don't even know what to call it. It's criticism, but
it's a little bit harder than criticism at the moment. People are genuinely not happy with the fact of how we've been playing, and I think it's a little ridiculous. I mean, that's just Philly. It's always going to be Philly. You can't control Philadelphia. It's weird because when you talk to Philadelphia fans, everyone says the same thing. They're like, I know, like, I wish people would just relax a little and be cool. But then all of Philly does it somehow. And I don't know, it's like a weird dynamic. Everybody understands that we shouldn't be doing it, but we do it anyway. And it's definitely, I think that Hurts is getting way too much hate right now. I think that everyone should be happy that we're 4-0. Like I said in the beginning of this video, we've seen domination on all 3 sides of the ball. They like to say that people are in mid-season form when they're playing really well, and that's for a reason, because it happens in the middle of the season. It doesn't happen in the very beginning of the season. Like, wait a little bit, and the team is only going to keep going up from here. And, by the time we get rolling, that's when we start hitting the good teams. So, actually our schedule is we were talking about how hard our schedule is, and when we were, going over our schedule picks and our winning picks and whatnot. We talked about how we had a hard schedule this year. It really is set up kind of nice, though, because we start off with a bunch of easy teams. We really do. And they kind of gradually get harder throughout. And I think that's a really good setup for, what the Eagles are doing right now, and for them to, just continue climb ladder and get a little bit better each week.
Yeah, no, I'm not complaining about it. The only thing I'm going to preface is if we lost this game, are you giving more criticism to Jalen or this team in general?
I don't think so, because I think that the way this game was played was more based on the defense this time. I thought the offense played pretty well. Obviously, there were a couple times where I think Jalen made the wrong decision or, underthrew somebody. One thing I did want to say that I saw Jalen do that I've been asking for, and I appreciated seeing, although it didn't do us any favors this week. I did see him just trying to throw the ball up to A.J. Brown every once in a while. Just toss it up in the air and try to let A.J. Brown go get it. The one time he super underthrew him because he was about to get hit. But
and then Jalen had to make a play. I mean, AJ
had to make a play on the ball, yeah.
The DB.
But I like seeing that. Because AJ can do that. AJ can do that for you. Even if it is a bad throw. So I enjoy seeing that from him. I enjoy him seeing AJ on the field more and getting him the ball more. I feel like right now he's having trouble seeing both Smitty and AJ. I kind of want to see, maybe it's a little bit too much to ask for, but to see a little better of a split between the two. Otherwise, I didn't really have a problem with the offense in this game. It was the defense that really kind of had me frustrated. Once again, Sean Desai is still pissing me off with his soft shell defense. I really, really don't like it. The way the corner. Granted, I know that we had a lot of confusion in the secondary this game. Slay came out for a little bit. We had Josh Jobe in there, obviously. We kind of had guys bouncing around in the secondary. We didn't have Sidney Brown or Justin Reed. So we were definitely a little thin this game. But, I'm really just not liking the way that he's disguising our coverages, the coverages that he's running in general, the fact that our corners are always so far off the ball. We don't play any press man. Haven't seen a lot of blitzes. I know we do sometimes, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel like it's enough. Definitely just have not been a big fan of what's been going on. Not to mention, I don't think I can blame Desai for this, but our defensive line isn't getting to the quarterback, and that's new. I feel like that shouldn't be a problem, and I don't know who to blame for that. I don't know whether it's the players or the coach or the way that he's having them go about it. But it was definitely a weird dynamic to see the defense dominate so well in the Bucs game and then come out against this Washington offense and really, really struggle. I just didn't see them do a whole lot all game. They weren't that great in the run game. They weren't that great in the pass game. They were letting way too much happen, and I saw way too many guys running wide open throughout the game.
Yeah, so, there were definitely some guys he even missed that were streaming down the field, and I was like, "Oh my god! Thank God he didn't throw that ball." It was upsetting.
That's definitely got to be fixed up, and like I said, frankly, I'm at the point where I'm coming out and saying I do not like Sean Desai so far. I hope that he makes a difference. I hope that he changes stuff around. Not a fan, and frankly, I haven't really been a fan of Brian Johnson's play calling on offense either. So definitely surprised to say that I would prefer to have Jonathan Gannon right now, but and absolutely Shane Steichen. But I definitely want to see some. Yeah, I want to see some responsibility from the coordinators and their play calling, because I think that's, to me, I think that's the biggest reason that we're struggling right now.
Yeah, I mean, Blankenship played 3 out of the 4 games, and he's the second leading tackler on our team with 17, and Cunningham has 18. When your safety is basically your leading tackler, it's not the best look.
No, not at all.
When he's gonna have to, he comes up.
That means the tackles are being made 15 yards down the field.
Don't get me wrong. I love seeing Blankenship. He's a great tackler, and I love how he can tackle in open space. But I don't want to see he shouldn't be tackling that much. They're just getting to the second level way too much. What do you think about this D line? I think you might have a different opinion than me, but why? What's going on with D line that makes you upset? How are we not getting to the quarterback nearly as much as last year?
I think it all starts with Hassan Reddick. I think that's unfortunately the biggest factor here is that he's not getting to the quarterback. The biggest reason that our D-line did so well last year was because the O-line always had to be scared of the D lineman to the right of them, not the one in front of them. You know what I mean? Like, they had to be scared of every single person on that D-line. And when you're not scared of every person on the D-line, you can double team somebody or, give a little extra help here and there, stuff like that. And Hassan Reddick just got his first sack this past week, and he's virtually been non-existent out there as far as I've seen. I've barely even seen him make tackles. And, for somebody that was sitting out in preseason and wanted more money, and I thought he deservingly so, he's not living up to that right now. And I definitely need to see a little bit more out of him for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
My last point is that another thing on that regard is that Brandon Graham is just a year older, and he looks it. I think this is Brandon Graham's last year. Somehow Fletcher Cox looks like he's 26 again. I don't know what happened there. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis both look great, but Jordan Davis is clearly not that great in the pass game. I have not seen him get very much pressure at all. And Sweat's been solid. I think Sweat's probably been the most solid guy on the D-line so far. If not Carter, of course, because Carter has just been impressive in the time that he has been in the game.
Yeah.
But, just nobody's really been standing out, and that's not really what the D-line is usually known for in Philadelphia.
Well, I'm happy that Hassan actually got that club off his hand that he was playing with, that softer heart, whatever cast he was playing with last game. So he did get a sack. I don't know if that's any correlation, but I didn't.
I didn't realize he was hurt.
I didn't realize he was playing with it until the announcer said something and showed it from the week before, and I was like, oh,
I knew he hurt himself in preseason. I didn't know that it was still a lingering problem.
Yeah, I didn't know either. He played through it. I didn't even notice.
I should have. I don't know why I didn't. He had surgery right before the season started. It was like a minor surgery, but he did have surgery. I should have known that.
So he seems to be maybe this is his get back on a roll with that sack and get in there. I don't know. I don't love that Morrow's our sack leader. I know I'd love to see us blitz. I'd love to see that happen. But yeah, we definitely need some more pressure from the outside. And
that's another thing, I was talking about the blitzes, the ones that we have run. Morrow gets a sack almost every time, I like when we run blitzes. Obviously you can't run them too often because it leaves your secondary to hang dry, but maybe that's just the fan in me thinking it's a lot more exciting to see that more often. But, I feel like it would be helpful with the kind of guys we have on our defense and the kind of dogs that we have to get there quick. And, simply, I just prefer to see it.
Well, I mean, we definitely should have done. I mean, it worked last week because it's Sam Howell. Like he's basically a rookie. It's the second year, but this is first year starting. I don't know how well that'll work against Stafford, but we're not getting into the Rams yet. But no, it's I don't know what's going on in our secondary. I really don't know. I know they're playing so far. I know we're playing the soft zone. I don't know why. We can't press anybody, and then when we do, it just seems. I don't know what's happening in our secondary. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if we're trying to switch around Bradbury too much to the slot. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's miscommunication.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you, brother. I mean, most of the completions aren't around Slay or Bradbury. Put it to you that way.
I know.
Obviously, there's some here and there, but it's not really them. It's the fact. It's the guys that we're missing. Avonte Maddox and the new guys in the safety position. And I think the biggest thing is actually the linebackers. If in terms of what I've been watching, they always seem to be a little bit out of position. I think they tend to drop a little bit deep into their depth, into their coverage. I always see Nicholas Morrow kind of stopping his feet and coming up to try to get the crossing route. And like I said, to me, I feel like that's the positions that the defensive coordinator is putting or not putting them in. I think that he could prevent these kinds of things from happening. And like I said, they play these deep zones. Here's what I think is happening. with no context, no idea of what's going on out there. Here's what I envision happening right now. We have 2 linebackers that weren't on the team at the end of preseason, okay? These are guys that are relatively still new to the system, even though they've been there for 4 weeks now, okay? We are playing a soft zone with our corners and our secondary. But the problem is that the linebackers are supposed to cover the front middle of that soft zone. And because they are not that great at their coverage, I think they drift back too far. And then all of a sudden, all of our cover guys are 10 yards down the field. And it's just an automatic 5, 8, 12, yards every time. And that's what I feel like I've been watching the whole time. I think the linebackers are the ones that tend to be out of position. I hate the way that he's setting up our secondary in terms of where he's putting them and where he's like putting the help at. And I don't think he does any kind of disguising in his coverages at all. At least it doesn't seem like it. I feel like I always see everybody in the exact same positions in the exact same places on the field. So yeah, I just don't think he's being, this is me as a fan not knowing anything about what's going on. And I might sound stupid saying it, but, I think he needs to be more creative. I think he needs to, put the linebackers in a better position not to have so much responsibility in the coverage game. And I think that he needs to run more man and more blitzes, simply. At least just mix it up more, because I have not liked what I've seen from him. And it looks pretty freaking easy to cut up. I mean, we've seen Sam Howell, Baker Mayfield. Who else did we see so far?
Freaking Mac Jones had a good game against us.
Mac freaking Jones, who just got benched this week, threw for 350 yards against us. This is what I mean, dude. We're making nobodies look really freaking good because we're not doing any kind of disguising in our coverages. We're not doing anything. We're just throwing them out there, and they're picking us apart. He needs to do better with the play calling.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I think we'll be all right. I'm hoping.
I'm still very confident in this team. I haven't seen any teams that look completely more dominant than us. I'm definitely worried about the 49ers. Not going to say I'm not worried about the Cowboys. Definitely a little worried about the Dolphins, although I think they have a suspect defense. And the Chiefs are kind of in a purgatory right now because they still have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, but they really do have a shitty roster, like we've talked about all offseason. So, yeah, and the Bills. The Bills are obviously scary too. I can't say the Bills aren't scary.
Bills look like the best team in the NFL, other than when the Cowboys play well. Outside the Arizona game, they look really good too. But, yeah, I mean,
but that's like 6 teams in the league that worry me.
Yeah,
at all. And and none of them are teams that I think, oh yeah, they just dominate us. Like, no, not a chance. There's no team in the league that dominates us. We will be in every single game this year. And it's still gonna be a fun year, even though it's gonna give a lot of Philly fans heart problems.
Yeah, I definitely almost passed out watching that stupid backshot throw for Joe. I don't know what he was doing to Dotson, but it's okay because we won the game. I know we're going a little long, and we're going to be back talking about the same things on Wednesday. So.
It's been a good one. Glad we were able to finally get this episode out to you guys. Sorry we were a little late once again. We'll try to make sure that doesn't happen throughout the season, obviously. We do both have, obviously, week jobs that sometimes get in the way, but hopefully that won't be the case. So thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe to this video and to our channel. We definitely really appreciate it. We appreciate you guys tuning in to listen to this video. And like my co-host here, Maslij, said, we will be back on Wednesday with another video breaking down the Rams game and the preview of what's to come to that, what we're going to expect. So make sure you tune in. Thanks for listening to us today. And go Birds.
Go Phils too, baby.
Yes, sir. Go Phils. Starting off their playoffs. Red October. Let's get
Woo!
it.